Chris Ockley here at the 2011 Missouri Track Cross Country Coaches Association Annual Clinic with a couple guys that know each other fairly well, and it's obviously Coach Jeff Pigg, the Rogersville native,
yep.
Right, and former Mizzou runner in University of Florida, who longtime Mizzou coach, who now at the University of Georgia, where you happen to, I'm sure, spent a lot of time and money trying to recruit this guy up to Mizzou, and like I said, I think it was maybe 10, 11 years ago when you presented with, and Derrick helped you out maybe here at the clinic and on a middle distance or 800 session, and I snuck in to hear and enjoy that. But when recruiting this guy and obviously leading him to national indoor, collegiate record and national titles, did you ever see at some point that he'd put the spikes away and put on the coaching hat?
I think he kind of did, because he loved the sport, and so when you see a guy with that kind of passion and have success, I think he just brings a real positive energy to the sport. I'm glad he's doing it. Obviously, he could be doing something making a little more money, but in the end, it gets in your blood. You enjoy the sport, and I think just that connection that having with kids that are involved in it is exciting too. So you say you love the sport, but you love the kids too, and it's just a nice mix. And
yeah.
It's you hear people say I've never went to work a day in my life because I don't consider it work. And
sure.
I feel that way, and I know why he's doing what he does, and I'm glad he does it. So.
And obviously, you outstanding career at Logan Rogersville, and then All-American career at Mizzou and Florida. At what point did you say, "Hey, this coaching thing might be something I'd like to get into"? Was that early on, or?
Yeah, you kind of hope you can do it, and then
sure.
Fortunately, when Rick McGuire, when the job was open after Coach Dusing left, and I talked with Rick about having an opportunity to do it. I think there was a point where you don't know that much about what it might be like, and then all of a sudden you start to see, man, this could be really neat. And fortunately, Rick took a chance and gave me an opportunity, and I just worked closely with him, paid close attention, and listened and learned a lot from him, and really he shaped me. I really feel like I kind of grew up with, under Rick's wing, and it was really neat. But
yeah.
You kind of, I guess in some ways you could say you didn't see it coming. You hoped that it would, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. And then leaving Mizzou and obviously having coaching Christian Goy to national title, and then Florida, and now at Georgia, and looks like you'll be getting to see this guy more often now at the SEC championships every year. But what's just brief some of the highlights, or what's anything stands out more than anything else over your coaching career, or what, after working with him, what was that like when he crossed that line and won those titles?
When it's happening, it's exciting, and it was just he was good. We were just fortunate that I was to be able to coach him, because he could get to the finish line faster than anybody else. And in the end, it gave me credibility with the kids that I coached then, and still today, it's easier to coach at 800 meters. They think I know what I'm talking about. And it really may just be that I had a guy that was fast one time, so people believe in what we do.
Right,
but,
right.
And that was a highlight, obviously. I think that there's so many highlights that are things people never hear about or see.
Sure.
Success stories along the way of kids that really struggled, and then they get back. And kids that just grow and develop, and whether it be that I've heard kids say, I don't really ever see myself being a graduate of this place. I remember a couple guys on the team that were thinking that back in the day, and then in one specific case, the cat's got a master's degree. There's so many wonderful things that I think seeing the group come together and have success just generally is really, really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Every year, you see the kids, like I saw, Kaylee Fisher and a bunch of kids here, and see them, and you're like, man, I wish I could go back. And we were kind of talking like, man, it'd be fun to get together and see these kids. And I said, it's unfair, but I still got the team like that. Every year you get new kids coming in and spend time with them, So I've got to continue to do that kind of thing. And it's fun to see those kids and that were kids anyway, and what they're doing now, and that's rewarding as well. And there's so many pieces of the sport that are exciting, and this job, and I think so many fond memories when I come back to here. I got to visit with Rick for a while yesterday, and seeing Brett become the head coach here when he was just, you knew his work ethic and passion and intelligence and just the whole package was something special, and you knew eventually that he was going to be real successful. And I'm just thrilled to see that it was recognized here by people more than Rick, because Rick knew it, but and in the end that he was given that. That's the thing that's special and exciting. So many good memories of things that happened here. It's really cool.
Is there any video out there of that Drake 4x8 that Derrick anchored the win? I'd sure love to see that. Obviously, ended up on the cover of Track and Field News, but I'd sure love to see that if you guys know of anybody who has it.
I've got it.
Do you? Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Neat. But
it's in VHS.
Yeah, sure.
And I got some good old pictures and stuff that are pretty neat. But I think I have that one. I remember we beat. Was it Illinois?
Illinois, Bobby True at
Illinois the first year, then Stanford.
Stanford the second year.
Yeah.
And that one, I don't think Ben was too pleased when.
Never came.
I don't think Ben was too pleased that day because they're like. I remember the Stanford guys like Stimber and Riley or whoever it was on that team, Gabe Jennings. They were like, we don't. They were like, because we kind of knew those guys. And we're like, we knew you had Derrick. Where did you get those other guys?
Yeah.
They all ran 149. And the funny thing was, Derrick only ran about 147 or 148. Yeah. So all the other guys ran 149. So we could never get away from those guys. That was pretty exciting.
Well, did you think he'd ever reach the fast 400, 800 times that he had when he was a 2-miler in high school, right? I mean, that was obviously he ran the range, but I mean,
I never did. But it was mostly just the strength training we did. I mean, that the natural speed that I had, and the work that we were doing, both doing cross, indoor and outdoor season, just somehow meshed together and worked out really well when we put a baton in my hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm still amazed that 10K NCAA cross finished at one middle at 150. That's amazing to me. That's just unbelievable.
I was just fortunate to be able to walk back to the van after that race.
That's right.
But Derrick, what did you see to him that made you comfortable to say, "Hey, this is where I want to go to be and train"?
I had coming out of high school in Georgia, you have if you're pretty decent, you have a slew of SEC schools within a 5-hour radius that you could have gone to. I think when I came to Missouri, I felt comfortable with the university, and then sitting down and talking with Jeff, I felt comfortable with this guy, sort of leading the charge for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't think either one of us knew kind of where we were going to go at that, how high up the echelon we were going to go, but I think he had some thoughts on what we were going to do, but just being comfortable around him, and that was kind of one of the things that there were some great coaches that were recruiting me. I just didn't feel the off the track connection, like I felt with Jeff at the time.
I think there was a fit, the comfort level and a fit, and you hope the running stuff all was in some ways. We'd hope, as you do with many, that you'd be real successful. But there was a fit, and you kind of go into. We went into business together, and really there's a partnership there that there is with every athlete, and a relationship that there's a comfort level that we've got to have if we're going to give a guy a scholarship, and we've got to believe that they're going to, that they're into the bargain. He's got to trust and believe that A, we know how to do it, and B, that we're really committed.
And live the lifestyle. I know that's one thing you've said a lot of times, that you got to be committed to living the lifestyle of being a runner.
It was once when Derrick, I remember when he came to visit, I picked him up at KCI, I think, and when I knew that he was a guy who definitely give a scholarship to and be thrilled to have him as part of the program. And I can remember when I dropped him off at the airport, he hadn't said a whole lot in regards to about whether he was coming or not. And he said something about, you're just going to have to convince my mom that this is the place I want to go. And I took that as a good sign. It's like, well, evidently you're convinced.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Most major decisions, even to this day, still go through my mom.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's right.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think, like I said, when I came on my visit, this was one of the last visits I took. I actually had, a letter of intent to an actual other school that Jeff took another job to. That I was pretty much ready to sign when I got back, but Jeff did a good job of changing my mind. It's a great decision on my part. I'm very fortunate that he and the rest of the staff at Missouri was confident enough to, see that I could get a good education and then have a great track experience. So,
What was that like seeing him at the trials qualify and then knowing that, man, that guy was going to put on the red, white, and blue at the highest stage?
Yeah, that was thrilling for me to see him do it. And at that point, obviously, he was working with Jared, and it's thrilling. It was kind of thrilling too for me for Jared, because I think Jared's a great coach, and I think it was neat to see him, obviously, but also him and Jared working together to do that. And I think we had hoped it would happen in 2000, and I think it could have, and I'm not sure why it didn't, but in the end, I'm glad that it did. And I think I knew he was one of the best guys in America, and had been for a long period of time. And there's some great Americans that never make the Olympic team, so it was really nice to see that.
I have to think.
I'm not thrilled for him,
Yeah.
I mean, it was exciting to see that.
Not being a parent and having very tiny little coaching experience, I'd have to think that satisfaction of somebody else accomplishing something that you've invested and put your energy into, to them to accomplish something, that's got to be just almost better than personally accomplishing something.
Oh, absolutely.
I think during that time frame, I mean, in 2000, obviously Jeff got the disappointing side of that experience, but without sort of his guidance and leadership to that point, I probably would have handled the situation a lot differently than I did. So, I think I was well prepared for making the team in 2000. Three other guys were also prepared.
Yeah.
And, we were on the disappointing side of it. But, 4 years later, to come back and have the experience happen, I think a lot of the credit equally goes to Jeff and Jared. Jared was there day to day, and he did do a very good job of preparing me for the task at hand. But I think the setup.
It takes a village. It took a village to get you there. Not just one guy. But So, any advice that you gave to him over the years, or even the young coaches, or the people that want to, after hanging up the competitive shoes, want to get into coaching, or any advice from both of you to,
What do you think? You enjoy it?
I'm enjoying it. With any job, there's your good days, there's your bad days. I mean, we happen to be in a sport where sometimes you're kind of measured by your bad days and your good days, but nonetheless, with anything that I've always got involved in, I wouldn't get into it if I wasn't having fun doing it.
Right.
And part of the fun that I've had was because I've been influenced by people who kind of they didn't push me in that direction, but they were major influences on me becoming a coach. I've had a really good high school coach who was a really good teacher. So he was a bit of an influence there. Working with Jeff for 4 or 5 years that we had here, really influenced. Really a lot of stuff that I do now, even from my sprint mid-distance perspective, a lot of things that I learned from Jeff, I just modify them down to fit the sprint world. So, even now with him almost 700 miles away, he's still influencing a lot of the stuff that I do on a daily basis. Yeah. I just can't send my kids out on 5, 6 miles. But, a lot of, even the way I coach today, you know, I learned a lot from Jeff. I'm relaxed at times I need to be relaxed, and intense when I need to be intense.
You started with such a good high school coach too that was. Now being down there, knowing that if he's got a kid coming out, it's probably one I'd like to get. If he says they're going to be good, then I believe him. He does an absolutely fantastic job down there still in Georgia. So it's kind of funny how we switched. There was one point when Derrick was in Georgia, and I was up here in Missouri in high school, and now I'm down there in Georgia, and he's up here. But,
any other advice for you from young coaches or people who want to coach? Or
I see you got to pay your dues, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, meaning that you can't just go coach in college, or you can in high school, but I think that it's kind of hard to get started, but it's very rewarding once you get in, and there's a lot of things you can do, but this is a very rewarding occupation, and but it is hard to get started, and you don't have to be an Olympian to be a good coach. You don't have to be an Olympian to get a job, but you have to be consistent. Persistent in terms of pursuing that. And I've seen a lot of guys. Brett Halter, the head coach here in Missouri, was a volunteer assistant for me for 3 years.
Working with distance kids?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and in the end, he just continued to just do a great job, and it was recognized again, and he had an Olympic, caliber athlete, and he's done a great job. But he started as a volunteer assistant, so I think
Well, I knew, coming from a, steepled college career that I just assumed he started working right away but I didn't realize that he was helping in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
But and as you look back, how cool is that your former school as an athlete and coach is, you got two of your former athletes, Rebecca and him, now, former All-Americans that are helping lead others to be All-Americans.
Yeah, I think it's really neat. When Jared was coaching, it was Missouri, and main thing, it's cool to see because they're good people. Yeah. They're taking great care of the kids they're working with, and so it's nice to know there's just another really quality person in the profession that's taking care of kids and leading, shaping, kids' lives, and it's nice to know that they're doing it.
Yeah. Now, are you respecting your former athletes now as they coach, and you're staying out of Missouri and not sending any of those recruiting letters to Missouri kids?
No, I actually respect the kids in the state of Missouri and sending those letters. And I don't recruit here as hard. It's just out of state. Yeah. Tuition, $36,000 to go to whether it be when I was at Florida or being in Georgia. It's expensive, and you could give them 50%. You could give a kid $20,000 and it'd still be cheaper for him to go to Missouri if they walked on. And so it's a tough deal unless somebody So there's not. My teams. That's one thing I've always done is my teams have almost always been pretty solid kids.
Your men's team this year at Georgia would qualify for nationals. I think one only out of state
guy. Chattanooga. He was the
almost,
kid, which is about 7 miles from that.
Right.
I think his house is 7 miles from that. And we just got that camaraderie with those Georgia guys. They work so well together now. They're having fun, working hard. The culture's the way we want it, and that started back in Missouri. Most of those guys were Missouri kids. We had fortunately had Derrick, and we had a couple kids from Illinois.
It's been maybe 2 months now since Adam McDowell qualified for the Olympic trials and marathon.
And it's neat to see those teams come together. One final thought for me is I feel like the quality just rose a little bit.
I think the internet and the growth of the coaches association in the last decade, you've just seen kids in Missouri just skyrocket. It's phenomenal.
Yep.
So it's cool. Gotten more knowledgeable in what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. But I don't think there's many. There's open boundaries when it comes to recruiting.
Sure. Oh. Yeah.
You have to do what you have to do in your own state. But that doesn't mean I can't go to Georgia either.
You're not promising not to steal anybody away, right?
Deep in Georgia.
I remember. 2 or 3 times. It's, looking at Missouri.
Yeah.
And I can put the connection together pretty quick.
Yeah, that's when the the negative recruiting starts. Oh, you don't want to go here yet.
Well, you got a good coach at no matter where they are.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone's a recruiting kid anyway. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been fun watching you over the years, and good luck this season. It'll be fun. You guys get to see each other more. You filled them in all the SEC championships and where the good places to eat are, and all those things.
It's funny. You kind of know a lot of those places as he's traveled around between being an athlete. Once you've been in it this long, he's been a lot of those places as an athlete.
I spent a lot of time in Athens.
Yeah.
They weren't all good.
Yeah. And but we'll have the conference got